joining us right now to continue the NBA draft talk. You know him from SI Now and Draft Digest. Our pleasure to welcome in Matt Babcock. Matt, how are you this afternoon, my man?
No, I'm doing great. A lot of moving parts, and just trying to keep track here.
Is this as many moving parts as there's been? I mean, it's, maybe I'm prisoner of the moment. It always seems pretty crazy on NBA draft day, but this is as many moving parts, or at least rumors of moves that I can remember leading up to and on draft day in recent memory. Am I off there, Matt?
No, I mean, we've had some big trades. I mean, leading up to the draft, obviously, a lot of times on draft night, going back to David Stern, stepping to the podium, we have a trade that's been going on for years. But I feel like a lot of movement, prior to the draft, more so than usual.
Matt, my crush this draft so far is Bilal Kula. Does he make it even out of the draft lottery tonight into the early 20s?
If you would have asked me that a month or two ago, I would have said yes, probably. And really has risen up, everybody's board throughout the pre-draft process. And yeah, my bet is he is going in the lottery. I've currently got him pegged to go number 12, but I've heard he could go as high as 9 to Utah.
Talking with Matt Babcock, senior draft analyst for SI Now and Draft Digest, as well as Fan Nation. Matt, after the first few usual suspects that everybody is really high on, obviously Wembanyama going 1, we're hearing now Scoot might go 2, and then Brandon Miller 3, but it'll be in that order, approximately. We'll see how 2 and 3 shake out. Outside of those first few guys, who's your favorite player on the board, or who you think has the highest upside in the NBA?
Yeah, the next 2 guys happen to be twin brothers, Amen and Asar Thompson from Overtime Elite, and that's where I have it projected now. I've got Amen Thompson going to Houston at 4, with Asar going to Detroit at 5, and just really incredible prospects. Both are about 6'6", 6'7", kind of do-it-all type of players. Their outside shooting is a little bit of a swing skill right now, but they do just about everything else.
We have one of a pair of twins here in Sacramento and Keegan Murray, and a lot of Kings fans are hoping Kris Murray will be following him shortly. You said the Thompson brothers are similar players. Are we looking at similar players when we talk about the Murrays, or is there a wrinkle in Keegan's game or in Kris's game that maybe the other one doesn't quite have?
Well, I mean, first of all, Kris shoots left-handed, and I got to know Kris last summer, Damian Lillard's former zero, and he told me a funny story about it. Is when they were younger, their dad tried to get both of them to shoot right-handed, even though they were both naturally lefties, and Keegan bought into it, and Kris didn't. So that's the biggest difference. Other than that, I think Keegan's probably a little bit more dynamic as a shooter and scorer, a little versatile, shooting on the move, whereas Kris is more of a stationary catch-and-shoot guy, but very similar, and both really good players, obviously.
Matt, I've read and heard about Derek Whitehead being a home run swing if he is healthy. Of course, we can't predict anything when it comes to health, but if he's sitting on the board at the number 24 spot for the Kings, do you pull the trigger?
I mean, I definitely would consider him, and I think, a lot of it is, how are doctors looking at his medicals? He's had a lot of, injury problems, for having such a young career. But I mean, just going back and looking at his, his resume from high school. I mean, he was one of the top players in his class, and I watched him a ton. I was a big fan. I thought he'd be a lottery pick after his freshman year, and just really had a screwy year. So yeah, I mean, if the doctors give a thumbs up on him, I certainly would look at him at that range, and I think he'd be a great fit too. I think Sacramento needs probably to address the wing, probably adding a big wing. Got Harrison Barnes, coming up as a free agent, and you're just kind of thin on the wing.
Another name, Jay gave you his crush coming into the draft with Koulibaly.
Love him.
Another guy that both Jay and I are high on, another high ceiling guy, but whose path to the NBA has not been as direct as many thought it would be, is Imani Bates. How do you like his chances at the next level, and maybe even his fit with the Sacramento Kings should he fall into their laps in the second round?
I mean, following Imani since he was in high school, it's been a roller coaster, right? I mean, at one point he was hyped up to be this next, great NBA player, and really kind of taking a nosedive. However, I still have hope that he could turn it around and have a really good career. He's 6'9", 6'10". I think he's still learning to play the right way, but he's got He's got a knack to put the ball in the hole and hit tough shots. And if he were in the second round somewhere, I think he'd probably be worth taking a risk.
Matt, the last draft that I saw that you mocked up, you had the Kings drafting Olivier Prosper coming out of Marquette. Speak on him a little bit for us.
He's the guy that the pre-draft process has really, really helped him. He's done a great job. He was terrific at the combine. His physical tools are the first thing that jump out. He's 6'8", 230, long, athletic, plays with a great pace and motor. I haven't heard intel with him being attached to Sacramento specifically, but I do, like I mentioned, I do think they'll probably look to address the wing, and just he's a guy that if he's there, it's a good value pick because he could even go higher. I've heard he could possibly even go as high as 18 to Miami.
You mentioned the kid from Marquette, and I know that's a guy I've heard a number of Kings fans talk about that they'd be interested in. I also know though that Kings fans, they after getting a taste of it last year, they want somebody to come in and help this team now and maybe even take that next step and move above and beyond. Who in their range do you think is the most NBA ready guy who can come in and help this team win games right now? And not to the extent because Keegan Murray was, a top 5 pick, but as we saw Keegan Murray last year play a role for this team, a playoff team.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I was updating our mock draft, I originally had Omax at 18 to Miami and got some intel that there's some teams chasing Jaime Hawkins from UCLA. So I ended up flip-flopping them picks. But Jaime is a guy, even though, he's got some limitations physically, he's just a proven winner. And I think he's a guy that could step in and contribute to winning right off the bat. And I think that's why his value is risen, in recent weeks.
Matt, I'll go the opposite side. Someone who may not be proven as much, but someone you're looking on the draft board anywhere on the draft where you're like, you know what, this is a go big or go home swing. Who's that guy?
The first guy that comes to mind is Gigi Jackson from South Carolina. He's, if I remember correctly, he's the youngest guy in the draft, and he's really slipped quite a bit, or seemingly slipped. And I think a lot of it's due to some of the intel gathering and suggesting he's a pretty immature kid, which I think would create some risk. But he's got lottery pick type talent. He's a 6'9" stretch 4, can put it on the floor. If it clicks, for him and somebody's getting him late first or the second round, he could be a home run, down the road.
Matt Babcock, senior draft analyst. Check him out at Draft Digest, SI Now, and Fan Nation, our guest here. And one more for you from me, Matt. Another name I've seen go in other mocks to the Kings is Noah Clowney, the big man from Alabama. How do you like him and his fit here in Sacramento?
Yeah, I love his upside. I'm not sure he's ready to contribute at a high level right off the bat, but he's long, he's mobile. He's shown flashes that he might be able to be a stretch big and just an athletic big that could give some rim protection. So, as far as an upside piece, I do think he's definitely worthy of being drafted in that range.
Matt, I will end it with this, brother. This is your time of the year. This is something that I trust in you. Who do you feel the Kings will take with the 24 pick if you had to go right now?
I haven't projected to take Omax from Marquette. Like I said, I'm not overly confident in that pick at the moment, but I do think they'll address just their wing. So I've got a list of guys. Hawkins, Omax, Leonard Miller from the G League Ignite, Derek Whitehead, Maxwell Lewis, Jet Howard. I would bet it'll probably be somebody in that group.
That is Matt Babcock. Again, check out his work in Draft Digest, SI Now, Fan Nation, senior draft analyst over there, and our guest for the last few minutes right here. Matt, we really appreciate the time, my man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Enjoyed tonight.